and welcome to my knitting podcast. My name is Monika and this is episode 40. I don't have a lot of things to show you this week. I'm thinking I'm going to try and keep it short. But I do have a finished object and a bit of progress on different projects. But before we jump in, I want to show off my newest sweater. I did show it off last episode. But now it's blocked and it turned out perfect. It is self-drafted and it's a Scrappy sweater. I think there's like 10 different colors in different weights of yarn. Some of them I held double, some of them I didn't. And all of them I just had one ball left over. I do think I inherited someone's leftover stash, but I don't know exactly. I really did enjoy making this one. I did 6 stripes per color, and the first stripe of each row I did purled, so that you get this very cute ridge, as you might be able to see. So yeah, it's finally blocked, and it's turned out really oversized, and I'm super happy, because this is exactly what I wanted. So yeah. Yeah, I do have a finished object, so I can start with that one. This is a pair of socks that I made for a friend of mine. She doesn't know it yet, actually, so it's going to be a nice little surprise. And this is my own pattern. It's under the oak socks. It's made out of Alpakka Forte, though I do think they have changed the name, but I haven't bought any new balls of yarn, so I don't have the new label. And the colors are grey something and sjøgrønn melert. The information will be both in the description and in this corner when I start talking about the project. So yeah, this is the only project I was able to finish in the past week. And to be honest, I'm very happy with that. I didn't expect to get a lot of knitting now that I'm more back at work. I'm not 100% back yet, but I'm getting there. So yeah, very happy with these socks. Very happy with the progress I've done. I don't remember exactly where I was last time. I think I had started the second one, but I'm not 100% certain. These were a priority right up until the point where... Oh no, I was almost done. That's right. I was almost done. I had just added the second ball I needed for this green color, and I only was missing the toe. After the last podcast, I just decided to get it done because I didn't want it to be lingering, and I also wanted to block them so they were ready for when they were being given away. So hopefully I will be able to give them away quite soon. So yeah, I'm gonna put them over here. I have a half-finished object. I have a pair of socks. They're vanilla socks. This is the second sock. The first one I have here. It's not blocked. I just thought it looked a bit better on the blockers. So these, the little stitch marker here tells you where I was the last time. And I prioritized not knitting a lot on this one after I got the cuff done, because I'm planning on knitting in the car a bit this weekend. So yeah. They're made out of Fosenfarger, and they don't have any names on the labels, and also I don't think Fosenfarger dyes anymore. But yeah, they are sock yarn. They are... I know they do have nylon in them, but I don't remember the composition, and I don't have the labels anymore. But yeah, very pleased. I have only done like 5 rows after the cuff. So yeah, that is the second project. I do have a small thing I kind of want to show. I did talk about these washcloths that I still haven't woven in any of the ends for. that I've been working on, and I did start one more. I have them in my little knitting bowl, and I have not done very much in the past week. These are kind of like when I don't want to knit, but just to have something to like put my hands on. They're very mindless, you don't have to think at all, you just let your fingers fly. Apparently I wasn't in the mood to knit a lot on these kinds of projects, so yeah. I'm just gonna move the marker. I also forgot to move the other marker, and I should remember to do that too. These are just made out of cotton yarn that I had. I don't remember if I bought them myself or if I was given them as a gift, but one of the local craft stores, like a box store, I guess, they have small sets of, I think these are 10 gram minis in 100% cotton, and I think they're a set of 10 or 12 cotton balls in each. And I have received a few sets over the years. So I did have, before I started the project, I did have mostly 2 whole packs. Perhaps I had a few left over from a different pack, I'm not 100% sure. But the math didn't add up when I tried to get it out of my stash, so I just wrote that I don't have any of this yarn anymore, and this won't be counting as my stash down thing. This is just, yeah, just for a break, basically. I only work on them at home anyway, and only when I need a break, so yeah. I think that works out pretty well. I'm gonna move the stitch marker from the sock, well, from one of the socks over to the other one, so that I remember it next week, if I have an episode next week. I'm going on a work trip, and I'm gonna be gone for most of the week, so I am not certain whether or not I'm gonna be able to have an episode up next week, or if it's going to be 2 weeks. If I have an episode next week, I'm going to show what I'm planning on bringing with me, because apparently they're a bit strict on the flight we're gonna take with like needles and stuff. So I'm planning on bringing a sock project, but not this sock project. I'm planning on winding off some yarn. Maybe I'll bring this pink yarn and this, it's very dark green, but you can't see it on camera. And both of them are sock yarns, and maybe I'll bring just those 2 already wound up skeins so I don't have to wind anything. But I am going to bring 1 pair of Shaiku needles on the plane, if they let me. If I have to rip it out of the project, or maybe I haven't even started the project, then I just have to consider this needle lost. I'm gonna bring an extra one in my luggage that we're sending, just in case it does have to get ripped out. Then I can just put it back on the needles and put them in the luggage when I get to the destination. And that is the plan. I really do hope it works out and that I'm allowed to bring knitting needles, because I don't know what to do with myself if I can't. I do know they're not allowing crochet hooks, and I don't understand why you wouldn't be allowed to bring crochet hooks or normal needles, but would be allowed knitting needles. I think it very much depends on who the flight attendants or, yeah. Because I do know I can get them through the security without any problem. It's on the plane that might be a problem. So perhaps I can bribe them to just keep the knitting bag for me until we land. I don't know, some companies are stricter than others. But I don't know what I'm going to do on a flight if I can't knit. I'm gonna go stir crazy probably. Okay, those were there. Did I put it? Yeah, I did put it on. Okay, the last project is the one that I have worked on the most. And you might be able to tell, but I have started using the shelf behind me to put projects on. And at the moment I have the 3 projects that I haven't worked on behind me. I think it works very well actually, mostly because this project have been my priority. And therefore this one has kind of been living in the living room day to day, but that also keeps me from spreading all of my projects everywhere, because if I do want to put the current high priority knit down, I can just switch it out with one of these 3. So yeah, I'm trying to not have too many projects at a time now that I'm going back full-time working, because I don't think I'm going to be able to knit nearly as much as I have been doing in the past year, since I have had almost nothing else to do. So yeah. But I did get quite a lot done. This is a sweater that I've been lovingly calling my white sweater, though it isn't actually white, as you might be able to tell, but the base color is white and it has a lot of variegation in it. It's made out of Lykkegarn. I think it's either merino or thin merino, because at some point she switched from thin merino and merino to merino and thick merino. But it doesn't matter, she doesn't dye anymore anyway. And the colorway is Karneval. The other yarn is Hanna by Permin. I don't have my notes at the moment, so I don't remember the exact colorway, but the information will be in the description. So I did knit all the way through the bind off at the bottom, and then I did try it on, and it is perfect. I'm very happy. And here is the stitch marker from last time. So what I'm hoping for this week is to put a collar on this, so that I can make sure everything fits well around the neck. And perhaps, I don't know if I'm going to do the sleeves 2 at a time or 1 at a time, but I am going to have to find a pair of needles that they actually will fit on. I do want to still use my metal needles for this one. This I won't bring on the trip. I'm going to put it away when I'm done with the collar, I think. If I'm going to bring anything with me, I will probably just bring socks, or perhaps I might bring the red sweater, just because it is so lightweight and it is plain stockinette, so I can just knit on it and don't have to think too much. But I don't think I'm gonna have a lot of time to knit either. I'm not quite certain. But yeah, I am very, very pleased with this this hem and everything. Actually, perhaps I can show the hem a bit closer. It might not be so easy. What I did was, since this is a slip stitch pattern, like kind of a waffle knit texture, I do have columns down that are 2 stitches in between them. So I decided, instead of doing a 1 by 1 rib or a 2 by 2 rib, I did a 1 by 2. And I think that kind of highlights the columns that are already there. I didn't switch the needle size. I was thinking maybe I should, but I do prefer it if the ribbing doesn't cinch too much. So I knit the ribbing with the same needles. They are 3.5mm needles, but I switched to 4mm needles for the bind off, just because this is a tighter fit than most of my other knitting, and I don't want to like struggle getting them over my back, because I do have quite a wide back. So yeah, I didn't want to like be afraid that I was like ripping out the bind off. Also, the inside does look quite cozy, so I am very much looking forward to be able to wear this. And the reason why I'm using Hanna by Permin as the mohair or mohair substitute is because there is no mohair in it. It's mostly merino, some silk obviously to make it actually stick together, and the very last bit is cashmere. And it is the absolute softest thing you could think about. I don't think I have like a mohair intolerance, it's just that it is just prickly enough that I don't find it comfortable neither to knit with nor to like have it against my body. And I am planning on wearing this as like inside a cardigan or inside a very oversized sweater on really cold days, just to get some extra insulation. So yeah, those are all the things that I have been working on, and this is a very, very short episode apparently. But yeah, I am planning on perhaps, maybe that's what I should bring with me. I'm planning on, if you do remember, I showed a yellow t-shirt that the gauge was very off from the other v-neck t-shirts that I have made. I've been thinking about this, and I'm going to try it on after this podcast and see if perhaps it was just a day I was extra bloated, so I didn't feel quite well wearing it, or if it's actually fitting quite nice, or if it is actually too small to compare to what I'm comfortable with. And if it is too small, I might make a swatch with size needles larger than the one I used for that, to see if I think the fabric is too open or not. Because I know that the fabric is quite tight at the moment, and the yarn that I used before, the gauge weren't that tight, or the stitches weren't that tight. So I might just make a swatch to see if I can live with the fabric being a bit more open, depending on how I feel after I tried it on. Because it does kind of feel like a waste that I don't feel comfortable using it when it's such a bright color. But if I am going to reknit it, I do think I'm going to do it in a different color, just to, because I do have a lot of that yarn. It's made out of Lykkegarn bamboo, and I have at least 30 skeins in 3 different colors. I bought a 10 pack of 4 different colors at a point because they were having like a sale with 10 packs, and I knew that would be perfect because I would be able to make a few t-shirts that were solid colors, and then the rest I could make a striped sweater with, which I really do enjoy. Though the first attempt on a t-shirt didn't go quite the way I wanted, so yeah. Lesson learned, I guess. Do always check if you gauge the same, even though you have knit with that yarn before on those specific needles. I might just be a more tight knitter now than I used to be, or perhaps because the other piece was lace, this didn't open as much. So yeah, lesson learned. But yeah, so maybe I should cast on, like, either way, I do want a bigger t-shirt, and I want it in a different color. I want it specifically in green. So I could try on the yellow one, and if it is the fit, then I could cast on with bigger needles and make that same size, kind of, and see if the gauge is too open or not, and also actually measure it and make sure that it is at least in the ballpark of the gauge I want. Because I would rather have it bigger than the t-shirts I already have, or not as small as the first one, at least. So yeah, I'm gonna have to think a bit about it, I think. No, I have decided. I am going to cast on the green one. And I think all I'm going to do is cast on enough that I can see that the gauge is, or cast off and knit enough to see that the gauge is what I want it to be, after I've tried on the yellow one and figured out whether or not it was a bad day or whether or not it was actually too tight. And then decide which needle size and all of that. If the t-shirt now, it works perfectly fine, it was just a bad day, then I can knit a new one in the same color and just realize that on bad days, I don't want to wear a tight-fitting t-shirt anyway. Then I would rather wear something like this. It's very comfortable. And to be honest, I thought this drop shoulder might be a bit too big. Because this is almost where my elbow is. But I nailed it with the bind off, because I can just push these up to right above like the elbow, and it just sits very well. And then even though this will fall down, it stays, the bind off stays, so I can still like actually use my arms if I need to. I'm very, very happy. So it worked out very well. I did try a technique I haven't done before. I did a sewn bind off for 2x2 rib, and I do think it looks a bit sloppy, perhaps because it's the first time I did it, or perhaps just because I don't like the way 2x2 sewn bind off looks. I didn't do it for the sleeves because I knew it would drive me crazy. But there is one problem I do have with sleeves, and that is I tried to make the sew it down kind of invisible, but it kind of ends up with one big stitch because it kind of scrunches off the fabric on the inside. So I kind of have to like try and like drag it into place. So I do think I have to make a knot or something at the very top before I weave in the ends again, because this yarn is not it's not gripping on itself at all. I do think perhaps this part is superwash. Some parts might be superwashed, some parts might not be. I just selected 10 balls that I thought the colors looked good together. They were alone in my stash anyway. And I do think I gave away the leftovers. I don't think I had a lot of leftovers when I was done with this one, but I gave those away. I decided that I didn't have a use for it. I do have a use for leftover sock yarn, both the fingering weight ones and the sport weight ones, because where did I put them? Oh yeah, they're over there. My Under the Oak socks, they are specifically for sport weight socks, and whenever I want to make a sport weight sock, I always use that pattern. It has become my very much favorite pattern. Really enjoy knitting them. I really enjoy the fabric they have, the little reprieve you get when you do the stripes with the twisted ribbing, all of that. I really do enjoy them. And I don't think that's just because they're my own pattern. I do think knitting a plain vanilla sock sometimes gets a bit boring. So that's why I do things like have different colors in the heel and toe and cuff, or knit with yarn that I really do like the color of, to kind of give me motivation to finish them, because sometimes socks can be very monotonous. I didn't say that word right, but I'm not gonna try again. So yeah. I really do. I am in a sock mood at the moment. That might be because of summer sock camp and all of the other sock cals going on. So it's having a moment, even though we have not had the weather that's making you want to knit socks. I know a lot of people that say they knit socks when it's too warm to knit anything else. we have not had a lot of good weather this summer. It doesn't bother me that much. I would have liked it to rain a little bit less, but I don't mind that the temperatures weren't in the 30s and 40s. That's a bit too much. But yeah, we even had a day or two with frost, and that's a bit too low. I would prefer it to be at least 15 degrees. At least. 20 would be nice. So, but yeah, I don't mind that it rains sometimes. I don't mind that it's not super hot. But it doesn't quite feel like we have had a summer this year. So yeah, I am hoping that there will be some nice weather this coming week, and perhaps while I'm gone. I don't necessarily have very high hopes, to be honest. Okay, I'm just talking now. Talking about anything other than anything useful. But yeah, I do think I'm going to bring a t-shirt on the trip, but I'm going to put that in my cotton suitcase. What am I saying? Suitcase. And send that one. It is a several days trip, and we do have baggage allowance. So I'm just going to send the t-shirt. If I do end up doing the t-shirt instead of the red sweater that you can't even see. There it is. Because I haven't touched that one in ages, and the stitches are very small, so I can't do it while traveling. I have to be stationary. No moving vehicles while knitting that tiny stitches. And I also don't want to bring this one, because it's just getting to this point where it is a bit too much fabric to bring. It is like quite sizable now. So yeah, if I cast on something that I don't have to think a lot, I have to remember to bring some dried down tubing or some extra like scrap yarn to be able to put the sleeves on hold when I do get to that point. Other than that, I think that could be a good way to do it. So I can bring one sock project that I'm doing while traveling, or maybe just to be safe, I'm gonna bring two yarns, one pair of needles that I pack in the suitcase, and the other one that I pack in my with my knitting. And yeah, I'm planning on trying not to cast on too many new projects, but I am done with one sock project, soon to be two. So I think I should be allowing myself to at least cast on a new vanilla pair, if these are done. And I do want to get a new t-shirt that actually suits me. So maybe I'll get the t-shirt with me. Or maybe I should instead bring this tiny scarf thing. Though what I am afraid of is that I am going to get this one done and then I have nothing to knit on. And that would be very sad. What I could do, of course, is, since I'm not going to knit on the t-shirt while traveling, but rather while I'm there, I could just bring the yarn. No, I should cast it on before I leave, because if I don't, then I would have to do a lot of work beforehand to like, these are the stitches that I have on the yellow t-shirt, these are the stitches that I have on the other t-shirts, the gauge I mean, and then remember to calculate when I do get there, and I do have to remember to bring measuring tape, and I'm going to have to measure very carefully. No, it's better if I have already cast that on, I think. We'll see. I'm probably going to not decide until Wednesday, probably. If there will be an episode next week, I'm going to film it on Wednesday and then edit it when I get back. And if if you don't see an episode next Sunday, it means that I didn't have time to film it before I left. And in that case, you will have a surprise when I do get back, because then it will be at least 2 weeks between episodes. So yeah, we'll see. I have many thoughts, but not a lot of decisions, I guess. I'm a little bit indecisive at the moment. But yeah, are there anything else I want to say before I log off? I don't think so. I did have a little bit of a life update last time. What have I even been doing in the meantime? Oh yeah, no, that's true. Both me and my husband got quite ill on Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. So we left, both of us left at the same time. And like had this, oh, are you also at home? kind of thing. And then we both stayed home on Friday, and we were like, in the morning, terribly ill. We were like, fever and everything. And I was thinking like, oh no, we might have to cancel like all the plans for our future. Maybe I'm gonna be so sick I can't even go on the work trip. But thankfully it was very short-lived. I kind of felt like I was back to being the old me. That's kind of weird to say. But I used to have like a very strong immune response when I got sick, but it also like went away quite quickly. And in the past year, everything I've been catching all the illnesses and been like laying down for a week or two. So it was kind of good to know that things are like working again, at least appropriately, I think. So yeah, I am hoping that I won't get any more illnesses. I am surrounded by children in kindergarten age. I don't have any myself, but like my siblings do, almost everyone at work do. Some of their children have just this week started in kindergarten, and I'm really terrified I'm gonna catch anything. Considering how ill I have been for the past quite a while, I really don't want to miss anything, to be honest. So yeah, very much looking forward to the work trip, very much looking forward to just being well again and just enjoying life. Other than that, well, yeah, we did a few things last week that I forgot to talk about. We took our nephew to the movies to see the very new, what's it called? The Paw Patrol movie. Since we don't have children of our own, we are not very well versed in what is popular with children at the moment. So we were kind of thinking that he had already outgrown that phase. But no, he really did enjoy the movie, and some parts were almost a tiny bit too intense. He got a bit like almost caught up in the movie, which was actually very good to see, because I was afraid like if he got bored how he would react. But no, he enjoyed it. He got very engaged at some points, and everything worked out well because it is a children's movie. And to be honest, it wasn't too bad for us grown-ups either. We have seen quite a lot of other movies where we were sitting there like, why would anyone watch this? And then we look at the child and going like, oh, we are too old, that's why. But yeah, it had a good message. It engaged the children in the theatre. So yeah, it was good. Other than that, we are planning a little day trip this weekend. And yeah, hoping we are actually well enough. We do feel quite well now, but you might be able to hear that my voice isn't quite the right way yet. Yeah. Also, I do have to remember to bring out my suitcase. Because work trip, I will probably not pack until the day before I leave, but I will start a pile. Just like probably on my desk here, because it's the easiest place to put things. And just having piles with like, this is the clothing I'm probably going to need, these are the things I'm planning on packing for the flight, these are the things I'm gonna pack for entertainment at the evenings. I don't have like the highest social battery yet, so I will probably retreat back to the hotel room and like, sorry guys, I'm too tired, I need to sleep, and just sit there and knit instead, probably. So yeah, I do have to remember to bring things like phone charger and toiletries and all of those things. Yeah, it's just been so long since I've been traveling at all that my packing lists are like completely gone from my head. Okay, now I'm just rambling about random things. So, yeah. I have already told you that there might not be an episode out next week, but if there is an episode, there probably won't be much knitting done in between, maybe. You might see a new cast on, maybe not. Who knows? But yeah, thank you for staying this long with me. I do hope you liked the video, and if you did, I would appreciate it if you liked it and perhaps subscribed if you haven't already. And I'll see you next time. Bye.